What's going on, family? You're in the Beatdown. It's Tuesday night. We're coming off a great show last night, Badger. How you feeling?
I'm good, brother. I'm ready for my daily therapy session, man.
Yeah, I think we both need it. Um, so, I'm kicking it off still with a little more talk about my boy John Jones. Um, this time something positive. He actually was took spray can from a guy who was looting.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw that, man. That was pretty dope, man.
it was. But it's interesting because I really think it may be true as far as him vacating his title at this point. Um, they want to make it about more money, but I really don't think it's about, I don't think he's doing it because he needs more money, although he said he'd like more money for his fights. I didn't realize how much he wasn't making. So, but I think only time will tell if he really, really cuts loose that strap and they have to have a fight for number two and number three, to get in and see if they can claim it.
Yeah, John is. I think John is convicted on this one, man. Shout out to my name is Game Killer Plays. I mean, that's the homie right there. I don't know
Yeah,
male or female. I don't know, but man,
you're
appreciate
in
the
it to win it.
support. Yeah, appreciate the support. Um, as far as John Jones though, man, I'm on the side that feels like he's really gonna stick to his guns on this. Um, what else does he have to accomplish? People want to see him get beat. They want to see him beat. They do not want him to retire undefeated.
Right.
They're hoping that he takes the Francis fight. They're hoping that he sticks around and goes to heavyweight. He's not going to give Reyes a rematch. Jan Blachowicz, the guy that's the number one contender for the spot, the one that slept Corey Anderson.
Hmm.
Um, I think he beats him pretty easily too. Just because stylistically, I mean, he has a good right hand, but you're not going to punch John Jones. You're not going to land that kind of strike on him. I don't think there's anything that really interests him at light heavyweight, and I think he's really adamant about that. I don't think any of these guys really get him motivated, and I think maybe we've seen that in the last couple fights. Now, I will say this: he is not the guy he was 5 years ago, right? We kind of know that. But looking at the guys he fought, the last two guys in particular, I don't think he was really up for those, man. I mean, and
No.
listen, I'm not taking anything from Dominic Cruz or what was my other guy named that fought him with the two busted knees?
Oh, yeah.
God doggone it, I can't call his name right now. He was a warrior. But yeah, I don't think those guys really got John Jones up.
Right.
So yeah, what does he have to prove now? Why is he still here? Matt, let me go just live life. If you guys can give me a challenge, or if Izzy grows into a light heavyweight frame, we can make that fight happen. I think Izzy has enough competition at 70 to keep him busy, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he
Even
needs to be worried about light heavyweight.
well, I see he's already made the statement he'll be moving up to fight Jones, whether Jones has a title or not. But I don't see that fight in a couple of years. A couple of years, I either see Jones at heavyweight or out. And then a couple of people have already told him if you really want to make more money, I'm sure Bellator will give you the house if you come over to Bellator. That would be interesting.
No, Bellator can't afford him.
That
And I
would
mean,
be
and I say that not as a slight to Bellator, but look, think about it like this: if Bellator pays him, how do they make their money back? They don't have anybody on their roster to make the fight interesting. So now you're just paying John Jones to show up. That's not good business sense for Bellator. I don't see how that benefits them. Remember, for the amount of money he's going to be asking, why put your whole company in debt to bring one man over? It doesn't make sense. And he's at the tail end of his career. How many fights he going to give you?
honestly because of the condition that he keeps himself in. He'll give him at least 8.
No, no way.
Okay, I
No
believe him.
way.
I believe he's got at least 8 more in him.
How many times he fight in a year? See? You can't even answer that. How's he
3.
going to get? So he's going to stay around the sport 3 more years to fight 3 more times a year?
Yeah,
How old is John Jones?
I think it's like 33. We'll find out. Keep talking.
I don't know. I just think we live in the age now. These athletes are more in tune with life outside of the sport or life after the sport. I mean, John Jones wants to be challenged. He's not going to be challenged at Bellator. And honestly, for what Bellator is paying him, the UFC could pay him.
Right.
I don't. To me, there is not a point where that makes sense. I just don't see it.
Look, I'm just saying there were some guys in Bellator who, extended the invitation. That's all I said. I mean, he and Dana have never had a really good relationship, and
Yep, they're the only game in town. He stayed there for a reason. He didn't like Dana, but guess what? Bellator wasn't an option, was it? So what makes it an option now? Because there's no one for you. Because there's no one for you to fight. That's just a testament to your greatness. I don't think it's. I just don't see it. On another note, though, Floyd Mayweather,
there we go.
$88,000 check to the George Floyd family, man.
I say, good job, Floyd. Good job. You didn't have to do it.
Well,
John
here's
Jones is 32 years old.
Okay. So, from a timeline standpoint, he has more time than I thought he did. I don't see him going to Bellator still, though.
You're right. Keep going. You moved on. I just saw that.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather though, man, cut a big check to the George Floyd family, $88,000+. Floyd gets a bad rap because he's an idiot. I think we can all agree he does idiotic things.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we have to call him out on the idiotic things that he does. Floyd does a lot of good nobody talks about. Floyd does a lot of these things often. He doesn't want to be publicized. I think that's very important. Very important. Because at the end of the day, when we look back on the history of Floyd Mayweather, I think people are going to find a lot of things that he didn't care to share because it didn't help expand his brand. He's not going to, listen, there are no good black guys in entertainment. Every good black guy in entertainment and combat sports is vilified.
Right. Okay, that's what you mean. All right.
Right. Yeah, and maybe vilify is the wrong word. They just don't get respect.
No, it was a good choice of words. It's just the way you put that out there. I'm like, what?
Yeah, because
what you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't get to the mountaintop being a good guy. Not in combat sports if you're black, you don't. Maybe not if you're any race. Maybe combat sports in itself wants to see the bad boys, right? Wants to see the roughnecks, the heathens, the guys that are like the outcasts of society to a degree, just by nature of the sport. So I don't know if any good guy gets to pass. George St. Pierre, maybe, right?
But then you hear stuff after St. Pierre left that Dana White didn't publicize when he was there.
Well, it doesn't matter what happens after he's gone. That's not even part of it.
It's he who controls the narrative determines whether you're going to make it to the top as a good guy or a bad guy.
No, it doesn't. Andre Ward's a good guy. Andre Ward's a good guy, and he controlled his own narrative, and he was never popular, and he was undefeated, and he never had a close fight except the one fight with Kovalev, the first one. He was a good guy. What
popular?
He was not. He didn't sell anything. And people complain about Andre Ward and said he was boring, bro. Come on, man. You know better. Look it up, bro. It ain't been that long. Come on now.
He was popular, though. I mean, he wasn't, most, you don't see people walking around Andre Ward t-shirts on, but.
Popular in regard to what?
Who as a boxing fan, forget aficionado.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Know Andre Ward.
What? Bro, we talked about it on this show, how this man was an Olympian, an amateur, and an undefeated pro. And people still know who the hell Andre Ward is. But everybody knows who the hell, well, not everybody, but more people know Lomachenko. More people know Canelo.
Listen,
more people know Tyson Fury. Hold on.
I'm
not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that here's an athlete that is everything that is everything that they say you should be, and then some.
Right.
And no one gave a shit.
Listen.
He couldn't sell out arenas on his own. That's my point. No one cares about that.
Again, it's he who controls the narrative. Your athletes don't control their own narratives. The gatekeepers control the narratives. The people who have the ability to put
Bro,
you here and put you there control the narratives.
bro, what are you talking about? That may apply. That may apply in major sports, but in combat sports, bro,
You're going to tell me, honestly, that doesn't apply in combat
who could
sports as
who
well?
controlled Andre Ward's narrative? Bob Arum? No. What are you talking about? That doesn't even apply here. It doesn't apply here.
I disagree, but go ahead.
Boy, you got the platform. Tell me where you feel like it does.
You look at your Lomachenkos. You're going to tell me Lomachenko got the same treatment as Andre Ward? You're going to tell me Canelo got the same treatment as Andre Ward? You're going to tell me Triple G got the same treatment as Andre Ward from those who control how often you're seen, what light you're seen in. Now, I'll even use this example. When you look at the UFC, when the UFC first started, Bill Superfoot Wallace was one of the commentators on it. Bill Wallace made the statement that the Gracies would tell him what he could and could not say about certain people. There were certain people they couldn't interview. There were certain people that if they had to give an interview to, they had to ask vanilla questions. There were certain people that they could really let shine. And you're going to tell me this does not happen in boxing?
What I'm simply saying is that Andre Ward
Yeah.
was a guy
Yeah.
that was very self-aware, and he had the background and the pedigree and everything in between.
Mm-hmm.
But because he was a good guy, no one gave a shit. I'm not saying that Top Rank or whoever couldn't have put a little bit more behind him. Absolutely, they could have. It wouldn't have made a difference because no one cares about the good guy, especially the good black guy. He doesn't fit the narrative. He needs to be outspoken, brash, cocky, arrogant, somewhat sketchy background. Come on, man. Look at the guy. Look how popular Earl Spence got after the car wreck.
The funny thing about Andre Ward is he was one of the few and I know you're going to look at it and go, big deal. It is a big deal when you think about the group that actually started putting him in their songs. But I actually heard about him in Christian hip hop. And I'm like, wow, they're talking about a fighter, which made me look a little bit more at Andre Ward.
I'm not even sure how that applies to this discussion.
All right, man. All right.
No, I'm curious. I just don't know how. And more importantly, I think we got on this subject because we were talking about the good deeds of Floyd Mayweather.
You're right.
But yeah, I think that when Floyd Mayweather's said and done, we're looking back on his career in its totality 5 years from now, when he gets his 30 for 30 documentary or he gets his Last Dance, Quest to 50 and OTBE or whatever they're going to call it, it's going to be interesting to see what the narrative is and we really dig into this man's past and find out who he is. All the way down from, we know his humble beginnings. We know about things that his dad did and his mom and all that good stuff and raised by his grandma. And we know about all the flashy, flamboyant, over-the-top, ridiculous spending that he does, which is perfectly okay. He's not breaking any laws and it's his money. He earned it. But I think when we start finding out all the good deeds Mayweather's done, I think people are going to look at him differently now. Even listen to this. Even being a shrewd businessman and having a domestic violence history attached to him, I think when all the good deeds that he's done for certain people, including certain celebrities, comes out, I think people are going to see Floyd Mayweather in a different light.
You're probably right. I wouldn't argue with that. I wouldn't argue with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at what the Last Dance documentary did to Michael Jordan. Like,
I think Mike thought it was going to put him in a better light than it did.
I don't think it put him in a better or worse light. I think it just gave us a more clear understanding of how much of a extremist you have to be that great. That's what I got from it. And I think that's what a lot of people, because most of us kind of already knew the story. Like, we had kind of heard things growing up. We kind of, when he got done playing, people were kind of coming out calling him a jerk and how controlling and manipulative he was and all that good stuff. But I think what we really saw was that despite all of that, Mike just want to effing win at any cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
He ain't beat nobody up but Steve Kerr. Well, I think he punched Bill Winnington too, but
It
he
was
only
somebody else.
he punched Steve Kerr. He might have punched somebody else. I don't know.
He slapped Steve Kerr. The original narrative I heard,
He
he
wouldn't let
slapped Steve Kerr.
Yeah, he wouldn't let Horace Grant eat because he had a bad game. Don't know how any of that happens, but needless to
You're a
say,
grown man. Yeah.
right. Needless to say, though, Mike just wanted to win at all costs, and I think that's all the documentary did. And I think that when we look back at Floyd Mayweather, I think people are gonna see the same thing, man. Very similar, very similar.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's going to be interesting how that plays out because Mayweather is smart. He ate more when he was the villain. He played that up like a lot of minority athletes have to do. He played that up. I mean, you look at, I know this is not a combat sport per se, but you look at Dennis Rodman. When Dennis Rodman played for Detroit, he was getting what, 22, 23 points a game and 23 rebounds. I mean, he was actually scoring.
I don't know if it was that high, but he was definitely doing his thing.
And then he goes to San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, from there. Isn't that where he went from when he left Detroit? Because he kept saying that they were soft, playing with David Robinson. And he left there. He goes to Chicago, and Chicago says, we just need you for that. We need you for your rebounds. We need you for your presence. So he didn't have to score, but he played up the image that became Dennis Rodman. For good and for bad, he played up that entire image. When he was in Detroit, he was a workman. He got it done. Got 2 rings out the deal, but he got it done. But then when he played on the celebrity, he got paid. So I believe Floyd does the same thing. Floyd looked at his celebrity. Floyd was like, I'm not as bad as they paint me to be, but they come to see me lose. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some lucrative financial opportunities in being the heel. I think we're all well aware of that. Hey, what do you think about Layla Ali coming out saying she wants $5 million to fight Clarissa Shields?
Listen, I was gonna bring that up. Hey, if she gets it, go for it. She says she also needs 8 months to get ready. So, because she got to stop being a mother and a businesswoman and focus on training. And she doesn't need the money, so she can ask for it. She doesn't need the fight to cement her legacy. So she's got a lot more to lose than Clarissa Shields. Now, I say that tongue in cheek because Clarissa calls her out and Layla, is able to knock her out because I don't think she would outpoint Clarissa, even though Layla said that she's a better boxer. She has better skills than Clarissa. It's easy to say that from behind the camera. I know Clarissa doesn't have much pop in her hands, but she has much sting, but she got a lot of pop. She throws punches in bunches. But if she gets caught by Layla and gets knocked out, that just kills her legacy.
Wait a minute. So we're actually having a conversation on whether this fight is going to be competitive or not. Are we really doing that?
Yes, we are.
Why?
Because this looks like it may be a thing.
Here's a better question for you, bro. Would you want to see Mike Tyson fight any of the active heavyweights right now? Especially the best heavyweight. Would Mike Tyson stand a chance against Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder for that matter? That's a yes or no question.
No.
So why in the hell do you think Layla Ali has a chance against Clarissa Shields when she's been inactive? When she's been inactive for how long?
I'm gonna answer your question. The first question was, why do I think she'd have a chance? One, because she's bigger.
And she's got to come down to weight. It doesn't even matter.
I thought they were going to fight at a catch weight.
She's going to have to lose a lot of weight. Next question.
She's 200 pounds now. I
She's
thought they were
going
gonna
to have to lose
listen
a
to me.
lot of
I
weight.
heard you the first two times.
Okay.
I thought they were fighting at a catch weight,
Of what?
like around 180,
Are you
175. That honestly, the way I've understood it when I'm listening to Layla talk, that's what I thought it was. And when Clarissa was talking, I thought they said they were gonna have to find a median catch weight. You can drop your mic if you want. That's what I understood.
okay? What was your next point? I'm not even going to address that one. What was
That
your
was
next
it.
point? That was it? Okay.
I thought if they came down and they had to fight at a catch weight, Layla's gonna be still gonna be bigger than Clarissa. Clarissa's not gonna gain that much weight. So Clarissa said she didn't need to gain that much weight. If Layla met her at a catch weight, she could still do it. So that was my understanding. Next point.
Bro, how long has she been inactive?
If I'm her advisor, way too long.
What is her punch resistance?
It's funny because she addressed that too.
What did she say?
She said that's why she needs 8 months to get ready for this fight.
Oh.
But the key point to remember is for her, it's $5 million. And if she loses to Clarissa, big deal. Well, I was inactive for 300 years. So, when I got my uniform at the Dinosaur Museum and put it on, there wasn't much I was expected to do.
So check this out, bro. So from the I don't know who's watching our show,
Uh-oh.
but there was a conversation today talking about the morality or the set low expectations for NCAA football coaches. And one name came up in particular,
Yes.
and that was Coach Dabo Swinney
I
from
meant to
Clemson.
tell you that last night. I said, boy, you got out ahead of this.
Now, what in the words of I can't think of the name of the movie, but I'm gonna say it anyway. What is we gonna do? Like, what is we gonna do? Like, are we serious right now? Like, do we? So if Dabo comes out and says anything at this point, do we fucking believe him?
No. Just like Dominique Foxworth told Nick Saban, thank you for the nice letter, but you still haven't said anything.
Have you heard of the I-95 corridor in South Carolina?
Yeah.
You heard of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the significance of it as far as what I'm referencing in regards to the schools along that corridor?
Well, I mean, I've ridden from Florida to Maryland countless times.
Okay.
So you see the signs getting off at certain exits going to those schools.
Okay. So the I-95 corridor is actually a book. I only read small pieces of it. I actually read the Cliff Notes. Basically, the I-95 corridor, if I'm not mistaken, and I know somebody in the chats will correct me if I'm wrong, the poorest schools in the United States of America on the I-95 corridor in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. All these schools were predominantly black. Mm-hmm. These schools, some of them didn't have electricity. Some of them didn't have running water. This was going on years ago, not in the 60s, not the 70s, 80s, or 90s. This has been the last 10 years or so. This was they sued the school district in the state. This is a 20-year battle before they finally won. This is your home state, Coach Swinney. This is where you get a lot of your homegrown talent. Mm-hmm. And you have come out and said absolutely nothing about this. But you let your stud quarterback get out in front of it and make the statement he made. You're the same coach that said that none of your players would be kneeling. This didn't age well for him. And I hope that we don't let him off the hook. I hope they don't let him off the hook for this. Same goes to Nick Saban. Only problem is Nick Saban runs Alabama. He is the governor of Alabama. I don't know who the real governor is, but the de facto governor is Nick Saban. I'm convinced that Nick Saban gets all of his players from the Alabama penal system. Them boys coming straight out of prison.
Stop.
Listen.
Stop.
When them boys played Notre Dame, what was that, like 8 years ago? What year was that they played Notre Dame national championship?
When they ran him out the building, that was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Now, did those not look like adult men versus boys? Did that look like a high school team versus NFL team?
Listen, it looked like what's that show?
Them boys had done hard time.
It looked like The Longest Yard.
Yeah, them boys had done some hard time with the Alabama team.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I don't really mean that.
But
But
you look at those players, they look NFL ready their freshman year.
and that's what I'm saying. Those guys have an obligation. And look, we all know that white people have a problem with giving up their privilege. But damn it, and the words of the great Seth Rogen today on his post, Black Lives Matter, and if this remotely offends you, please unfollow me. Seth Rogen was probably high when he wrote that. But Seth Rogen is that kind of guy.
You remember the guy I was telling you about that I was friends with for 33 years? After our conversation on Saturday, I noticed now he's unfriended me, which is cool. Thank you very much. You saved me the trouble. And I agree with you in Seth Rogen's comment. He probably was high, but I agree with the comment. If this offends you, please unfriend me. The reality is, and I listened to these commentators deal with this Monday. The reality is, your Nick Sabans, your Dabo Sweeneys, you look at any major college, their roster's 80 to 90% black. They have a lot of black assistants, not offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, but as they say, they have a lot of people who can control the asylum. They are making a king's ransom off of just being the ringmaster. They don't really care whether you're dealing with things when you go home or not, because there's always somebody that they can plug in to replace you, because they've made their schools, not they, but them, the media, society has made their schools very powerful in the minds of these urban kids. You know, if I could play at Clemson, I got a shot. I'm going to the league. My wife's one of her younger cousins, Javon's nephew, went to Clemson. Came out the year before they won the national championship. But that was the thought. I go to Clemson because they're always on TV. They're always in the top 10, somewhere around there. I'm going to the league. So when you look at these coaches, they don't really feel like they have to take the responsibility to speak on behalf of these kids, because there's another one to plug in right behind them if the kid decides to leave, or if the kid can't come back, or if the kid gets hurt when they go home on fall break, or when they go home on summer break. It's almost like the kids are just a commodity. Do I think it's wrong? Yes. But just because it's wrong doesn't mean they're going to change their policy. You were a D1 player. You understood what it was like. Did you turn your mic off?
What happened?
You turned your mic off.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I played at a smaller D1 program, but what's more reflective of this discussion that we're having is what you're seeing is that the people who have the power and influence, they haven't changed.
Nope.
Right? Dabo and Nick Saban and any of these other coaches at these Power 5 schools are not saying anything because they're the voice of who? Who they really represent?
Their boss.
Who are the boosters?
Right.
The T Boone Pickens of the world, right?
Oof.
The
Oof.
what is my boy name out of Texas that owns all the car dealerships? He's the big time booster for the University of Texas. Red McCombs,
Yeah.
right? These people of these ilk.
Warren Buffett.
You don't think Red McCombs and T Boone Pickens, you don't think that these guys have trained their children who are also billionaires to feel the same exact way? There's a reason why coaches from University of Miami speak out. There's a reason why the coaches from some of these other schools speak out. And there's a reason why you have a whole segment of other coaches that don't say nothing. And these are the people that we're talking about. Walter Scott was gunned down in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Dylan Roof killed those people in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And Dabu Sweeney has nothing to say, but he's so quick to talk about God and the Lord and all that. Get out of here with that, man. Miss me with that, bro.
You give a shout out to Van Newman.
Shouts out to Van.
Listen, off air, I'll tell you, but this man, he's dealing with stuff like Job did in the Bible right now.
His faith is being tested, huh?
In the matter of the last 2 weeks, bro. He's one of these people who, when he turned his life around and turned his life over, he had every reason to look back, every reason to go back, because it's easier, falling into the hand of the elements rather than striking out and keep marching forward like a soldier. And that's what he's done. So I'm so glad to see you up on here, my man. You're still in my prayers, you, your daughter, your wife. Appreciate you. But I agree with you, man. I do agree with you. It's funny that we're having this conversation now. And I remember Stuart Scott making a statement. If I'm not mistaken, it was Stuart Scott made a statement and about, we fought so hard to get out of our HBCUs and get to the he used a different term, but to get to the white schools, the state universities, the endowed schools, that once we got there, we didn't realize what we really gave up when we left the HBCUs. And you look at those schools just in general, man, it's tough. It's tough because a lot of them are not even working with a shoestring budget anymore. You remember how great Grambling State University was under the great Eddie Robinson, how many players he put in the NFL. And then I had a friend who went to Grambling and he said, man, that school is horrible. I'm like, what do you mean it's horrible? He said, we take buses everywhere. We, you got some schools who can fly, but we take buses everywhere. Our locker room looks like a stable. And then you hear a couple years later, it comes out when Doug Williams is talking about it, that it does. These are the things that they've dealt with for, at least the end of Eddie Robinson's career. They dealt with it. And you think about all the money that was made from the players out of that school, and it doesn't come back. And when it did come back, it was misused. It doesn't happen mostly at your bigger schools like your Florida State, your Florida, University of Miami, University of Georgia, even Georgia Southern, definitely not Georgia Tech, South Carolina, but you go to South Carolina State. And the funny thing, I went on a recruiting trip to Florida State, and my mom was up there with me, and we're standing in Doak Campbell Stadium. This is before it was really redone.
Right.
And we're walking around the stadium, the bleachers, and I'm like, wow, those bigger on TV. But then you find out that each player has their own apartment. Some you have a roommate, some you have your own apartment. But Burt Reynolds donated an apartment complex. And then we rode by Florida A&M. Same city.
Across the street.
Whole different world. You don't even have enough dorms on campus for freshmen sometimes. So don't even go look at the facilities, the stadium, the workout facilities. And then Not too long ago, they lost their accreditation. They were on probation. And you're like, this is a school that's been open for decades, almost a century. Now, who does that fall on?
Well, what we do know is that everything that we're doing, everything that's been done, that's happening right now, started. There was a precedent set for it some years ago.
Yeah.
People applauded USC when they ran Alabama out of the national championship game. Do you remember what year that was? Was that like 68? So, I might be wrong, but somewhere up in those times, right?
Wait a minute.
And Bear Bryant,
When they came to Alabama?
when they ran them out of that, oh, that wasn't that. Okay, I'm sorry, that wasn't a national championship game. When they came to Alabama
with Sam Bam Cunningham,
and they ran Alabama out of their stadium.
Out of their stadium, yeah.
And at that time, who was it? Was it Denny or was it Bear Bryant? Said we need to get some.
That was Bear Bryant.
We need some.
Yeah. We need some of them
on our team. Yeah.
Yeah.
From that day forward, the poaching started.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you so eloquently put, even up until the 80s. If you look at a lot of those Hall of Fame players from the 80s, a lot of those guys from HBCUs. Almost all of them.
Let me take you to the 90s, bro. When I went on that recruiting trip, a groundskeeper pulled me to the side. Now I was a big dude even back then. I don't know why but he said, I hope you ain't no quarterback. I said, no, I don't have to worry about that. He said, because you can't be a black quarterback up here. He said the best quarterback on this team is a punter. Because Bobby Bowden had to bring him in as a punter. The alumni wouldn't allow him to come in as a quarterback. And that was Charlie Ward. He was sitting there as a punter. And it wasn't until Casey Weldon and Brad Johnson left that Charlie he had to sneak him in there and show how good he was at the spring game. Now, he had been sitting there for 2 years, couldn't even play quarterback in the spring game.
Yeah, interesting fact, a fun fact about Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward's grandmother, I think, lived in my hometown. So I got to meet Charlie Ward when I was in middle school. And what's amazing about Charlie Ward is he's such a humble and likable guy. He's a little guy, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's even better about Charlie Ward was when one door was closed in front of his face, he opened another. Sure, he ain't no telling how good of an NFL quarterback he would have been, but he ended up being a hell of an NBA basketball player. Hell of an NBA basketball player.
Brother, this hurts me. I love you, Van, but you ain't had to bring this up. You did not have to bring this up.
Oh, Sandusky?
Because one of the boosters tried to hide the Sandusky scandal. That was the boosters, but they were led by the athletic director and the chancellor. So,
he took a shot at your team. They ain't gonna never be shit. Hey, but shouts out to James Franklin, though.
What? Man. Yes. I didn't realize he had a shot to leave a couple times, and he kept staying, and he said he wasn't leaving Penn State. And I remember.
Oh well, yeah. When stuff got bad, absolutely.
I remember when somebody asked him this year, they said, why did you stay when you had a chance to go to bigger, programs on that level, but, with an easier time to win. And he said, because I want to be the first African-American national championship coach, and I want to do it right here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think programs get any bigger than the Penn State.
They might not get bigger, but if you look at the history of Penn State, we've had four undefeated teams, but never when he went undefeated did they give him the national championship. He's got Paterno got 2 national championships, but never when he went undefeated. I just couldn't understand that. But yeah, but thanks, Van. Thanks for bringing that up, because now he gets a chance to poke at me.
Hey, I'm just saying, bro. I mean, it's Penn State. That's all. It's okay.
Listen.
It's okay.
As much as they talk bad about my coach, he did the right thing. And I still remember when he came down to play in the Orange Bowl, I think it was, and they would not let his black players stay in the same hotel as his white players, he put his entire team back on the plane, took them back to State College, and flew down the day of the game and won the Orange Bowl.
Boosters got that long money, man.
Hey, hey. So, I do want to bring something up for you, bro, because I know you are a Jacksonville Jaguars fiend, and you know you have every right to root for the Jaguars.
I don't like the way this is going.
I didn't realize that the co-owner of the Jaguars also is the founder of AEW.
I didn't either. I thought Shad Khan was the principal owner. I know we had a co-owner
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah,
That's how it's listed. When I was reading up on him, he was listed that he was a co-owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So
okay.
I didn't go any deeper on that. But yeah, I was shocked to see he started AEW. He and his dad, since his dad was a billionaire auto parts owner. Just that's nice. That must be nice to come up as a billionaire child.
Yeah. Maybe that's
What was
why
it like, bro?
Maybe that's why we put a swimming pool at our stadium.
Well, I mean, you weren't using the seats, so I
That's
can
what I'm
understand why.
saying. Yeah.
I can understand that. You can't that way you didn't have to cover it up like the top row.
Come to the game to get in the pool.
But I think you guys will do. Didn't work well for the Rays, but I think you guys will do well, man. I really do. I think there's something there that they're building in Jacksonville. I don't know if it's going to be this year or next year, but you guys will be back.
Yeah. Your optimism is a bit sketchy, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm just gonna be here for it, man. I'm not a turncoat. I don't jump ship. Look, I'm down bad right now. My Jaguars ain't doing good, and I think luckily COVID saved our streak for the San Antonio Spurs. 22 years without missing the playoffs. So COVID saved us because we weren't gonna make it this year. So, you know, I'm not my professional sports team's forecast is not the brightest, but I'm gonna hang
But
tough.
you were on top for a long time with the San Antonio Spurs, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hang tough, man. I'm not going nowhere, bro. And
I gotta admit,
I'll be ready for the next regime.
They had a dynasty. I mean, it wasn't like the Bulls dynasty. It wasn't like the Celtics.
Yeah, we never won back to back.
Right. But you like every 2 or 3 years y'all winning a title.
Yep.
And you were always in the playoffs.
Yep.
So it seemed like you guys won more than you did.
Yeah.
And then to some people it seems like you didn't. Like I talked to some people that were like, man, the Spurs only won like 1 or 2. I'm like, no, bro, they won 5.
Yeah.
I mean, they won 5 with the whiny Admiral when Tim Duncan came in his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they rebuilt, or they were building off of that when Robinson got out the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look up, there's a whole new crew coming in with Parker and Ginobili and Johnson. And man, that was wasn't the Ori there?
Yeah, we had Big Shot Bob. That's who hit the game winner for us against the Pistons in 05.
Now, how many was he there for? 3?
He was with us for 2.
For 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, because he won 2 at Houston. He won 3 with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. And 2 with the Spurs.
He got 7 rings, dog. And we don't talk about him as being one of the greatest players.
Because he's not. What he is he's a clutch guy, and he's a glue guy. He's a glue guy. Also, University of Alabama.
Oh wow. Yeah, but basketball, all you hear about is Allen Houston from there. So I mean,
really, Allen Houston, Antonio McDyess.
No, didn't Houston went to University of Alabama as well, didn't he? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Speaking of Allen Houston, there's a couple of guys that every time they shoot the ball, like it's going in. Allen Houston was one of those. Allen Houston had the most beautiful jump shot, man. Yeah. Every time he shot the ball, you thought it was going in. Ray Allen is another one.
Yeah.
Every time he shot, it just looked like it was going in, right?
Their shots were made for slow motion.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah. Wow. Oh, wow. I mean, I just start thinking back. I'm like, dang. Allen, Steve Kerr was another one that played for the Spurs.
Yep. He got one with us too, if I'm not mistaken. Towards the tail end of his career. He was more like a player coach, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was more like a player coach. He had gotten pretty long in the tooth by the time he got with us. But yeah,
He
I
got
think he
3
got
with the
one with us
Bulls,
too.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Yep.
amazing when you look at the Bulls. They were two separate teams. It was just Michael and Scotty in the kind of that bridged the two. Because you had what? Bill Cartwright, Horace Grant, BJ
Armstrong,
Armstrong, Paxson, right? Or Paxson was with
John
the second.
Paxson.
He was at the
No.
first one.
Yep. Because Steve Kerr
Um,
replaced John Paxson.
Bill Weddington,
Bill
Luke
Winnington was
Longley,
around. Bill Winnington was around for all 6, I think.
or was it Longley that was gone?
Longley was there for the last 3, but I think Bill Winnington was
Okay.
there for Bill was there for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Bill was there for a while.
He gained fame during the Hack a Shack approach after Jordan left.
5 good ones. That's all we got for you is 5 good ones.
And then the second regime, you had Rodman, Harper, Ron Harper. That's who I meant to say was one. To me, he has to be considered one of the greatest players in the NBA. He knew his role. He was a point guard for them and the Lakers, right? When they won their first 3.
Yeah, Ron Harper doesn't get the credit he deserves. Ron Harper was a beast. Even in college, Ron Harper was no joke.
Right.
Ron Harper got to the Bulls, but when you watch the documentary, you can see the way Mike talked to Ron Harper, man. He knew what was up. Harper wasn't no joke, and Harper was also the defensive stopper. Jordan oftentimes would guard the better player. No, let me take that back. Jordan could guard the better player, but in that second Bulls run, Ron Harper and Scottie Pippen drew the more difficult assignments most of the time.
I mean, I liked Ron Harper. When he went to the Lakers, I was like, yeah, that was a good Phil, but Phil had him in LA, I mean in Chicago. So but he was so underrated because the teams were so stocked when he went there.
And Ron, like you said, Ron knew his role, and Ron was just a consummate point guard. He did what he needed to do. He made defensive stops all the time. He got timely rebounds. He made the right pass, and he would hit the open shot when you gave it to him.
Yeah. I mean, you start off, I forgot where he was before he was in Chicago, but you got Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen,
And don't forget Tony Kukoc. Yeah.
Tony Kukoc, Dennis Rodman. They're all there.
Yep.
Even your boy Bill Weddington, they're all there. And then
you had young guys like Scott Burrell.
Yes.
Those guys are balls of energy. Jason Caffey. Yeah, a lot of these young guys that came in, these guys were hell of a players come out of college and got on the Bulls team and got to be front row to history. And when they got their opportunities, they made the most of them, man.
But then you leave Chicago, you go to the Lakers. I don't know if he went right away to the Lakers.
I think he did.
But he ends up in the Lakers. Now you're playing with Shaq and Kobe.
And Kobe.
I tell you though.
And Robert Horry, who had already cut his teeth in Houston when they won their back-to-back championships.
That's right. And you got Robert Horry there. And it's amazing because I remember when the Lakers were going for their first one with Shaq and them. I thought that Portland team they were more stacked.
Yeah, Scott, Brian Grant, man. And Brian Grant hurt them, and they needed him healthy. He hurt them.
Yeah.
Scotty had the back problems. Rashid
Stackhouse
couldn't do it by himself.
Wallace. Rashid Wallace.
Yeah, Damon Stoudemire. Yeah, it was enough blame to go around. But Brian Grant really hurt him in that series.
Yeah, but it's just amazing. They still took the Lakers. They pushed the Lakers.
It was a hell of a series.
Oh yeah.
It was a hell of a series. Yeah.
So it was that man. Those were some good series, man. It was. Yeah. But yeah, I just start thinking about some of those players sometimes. I just like your Ron Harpers, like your Robert Horrys, and even in football, like your Ken Norton Juniors. Most people don't realize he got 5 rings. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know how many he got.
No, he got 3.
I don't know if he got 5, but I know he at least 1 or 2.
He got 3. He got 2 with Dallas. Then he went to San Francisco and got 1 more.
No, Cisco and got 1. Yeah.
Yeah. But
there was
when they were talking about people who had the record for Super Bowl rings, I forgot the player who had 6 before Brady. Now he played for 2 or 3 different teams in a role position. It was like a center or a long snapper. It was something crazy.
A long snapper. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wow. But I mean, to be able to tell your kids and your grandchildren, I earned these rings. They don't care what position you played. You
Yes. I
played.
got the hardware, man. I'm immortalized. I'm in history. Google me.
I thought about that way too long. A guy tried to put a bug in my ear when I was coming my senior year in high school, going into my senior year. He was like, "You need to become a long snapper." Because he knew I was a good center, but they played me at offensive tackle. He was, "But you need to become a long snapper because NFL teams always carry their long snappers. They don't interchange them at all. And a long snapper is going to get on the field at a big D1 school quicker than you trying to battle as an offensive tackle. But you want that glory, be able to grab people and move them around.
Yeah.
But if I had thought about it, and then I saw, I don't know, I think his name was Tremaine Mack, played for the Hurricanes.
Mm.
I remember the first time they showed him as a long snapper. He moved into another position, but the long snapper got him noticed because he was so light. I think he was like
Mm.
100 or maybe 200 pounds. And but he could snap the ball, and that's what got him on the field. And I was like, man, if I had just listened, but then I wouldn't have met you, and I wouldn't have been your humble sidekick. So
You gotta
just,
chill, bro.
just
Ain't no
saying, bro.
humble sidekick, man. We in this together. You gotta relax, bro.
I
You
was
gotta
telling,
chill.
I won't mention the person that said it. I said, well, they said if he's combat arm candy, what are you, the fruit bowl?
Hey, that's a start. Fruit bowls are very popular, especially at buffets. So this works.
Listen,
This works.
I don't want to be associated with a fruit bowl because people are always digging in a fruit bowl. Ain't nobody digging in me. I'm good. I'm good.
You know what? You probably just couldn't even say that. It's okay. You probably just could let that out.
I ain't gonna happen. Sorry. Whatever. Listen, this has been a heck of a show. We've gone back and forth through almost every sport but hockey.
Oh, don't get me started on hockey. It's my favorite pastime.
Yeah. I told you when my daughter was 2, going on 2, she was walking, went in the living room and she grabbed something. I think it was stuffed animal. And she turned around to walk out of the living room and she just froze. And I came around the corner and she was watching a hockey game. I had it on ESPN.
Yeah.
And she got excited when she saw people getting slammed into the boards.
And skating.
The skating was cool. We had taken her to see Disney on Ice. Skating was cool, but that's not what got her. It's when she heard that when somebody got knocked into the
Get
board.
checked into the glass. Yeah.
She got excited, just like she didn't like soccer until she saw somebody get decleated in soccer. Listen, I'm raising a combat fighter. I just want y'all to know.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, brother.
When she told me, "Daddy, let's go there so I can fight them," when she saw 2 women fighting, I was like, "Oh, I'm in trouble."
Yep.
Trouble.
Yep.
So I'm gonna let it go. What you got, bro?
I got nothing, bro. Just glad to be here with you, man, sharing this platform and getting to talk about things that we know a little bit about, I guess, and getting everybody to watch us. I guess that's cool.
It's cool to me. I enjoy it quite a bit. I really do. Yeah, I got a story for y'all on Thursday. So I'm gonna need y'all to show up Thursday at 11 p.m. I don't know if I'm gonna start off with the story, but it's coming, and it's one I've been holding on to. So,
Jeez.
somebody sent me a joke after last night's show. Now, this is not me, okay? This is not me. I just got to put it out there. It's not like the people who are prejudiced, but they say I'm not prejudiced because I got one black friend. No, I love women of all shapes and sizes. So this is definitely not me. But the guy sent me a joke. He said, "Hey," he said, "In life, what becomes so much easier the more it expands?" And I said, I am texting back and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "A woman, of course." I was like, really? I should put his name out there because it was his joke. And I was like, people are sending me stuff like this. So I'm wondering if I should maybe get away from the jokes for a while because I'm getting some really tasteless jokes that people want me to tell.
They're following your blueprint, bro.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Don't even put that on me. Don't even, I hope your teeth fall out for saying something like that. They are not following my blueprint.
Bro, this is awful. This is bad. This is bad. You got to stop it, man. You got to stop it, bro. Don't let them. They're using you, bro. Don't let them use you. He is not taking submissions, guys. This is not how this works. His jokes are bad enough. We don't need y'all influence bringing him in. Just let him do him, please.
At Got Brew.
No, ain't no at God Brew. What are we doing right now? This is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea.
If you need to get at me with some good jokes this time, hey, right there. Right there on Instagram. I'm getting stuff on TikTok. I'm like, oh, these are horrible, bro. It's so horrible. I knew it was a bad idea for somebody like me to start with TikTok. Just bad jokes, bro. Bad jokes. Just saying. But I can't even explain the sound I just heard coming from the other room. Hey.
And the sad part about it is you're out here.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to my wife and daughter and to my mom because, listen, they keep it going. I ain't going to lie. I know, but I'm being totally serious when I say when I heard the scripture, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing, I was ignorant to the fact that I had a really good wife then. We just had to grow together. And I'm seeing so many people getting divorced nowadays or just skipping the whole marriage thing and going right to 7 or 8 children. There's a reason why that was kind of put in order. And I can say for me, I have a really good wife. Is she, do we always agree? Oh, heck no. No. Do we argue? Yeah. But I understand now that I've gotten older that we have the same goal. And that goal is to have a really healthy, mentally healthy home life and to raise a wonderful daughter. And some people who are headstrong and who really want the best for each other, you're going to bump heads. You're going to bump heads. I mean, the Brady Bunch was the Brady Bunch because the husband in the Brady Bunch was really gay. So he was. They've come out and already said it. I'm not saying anything bad about it, but what I'm saying is that was what the networks wanted you to think was an ideal home. And it wasn't even what they were trying to portray. So that's why I use that example. You're going to have some disagreements. You're going to have some issues. But I tell you, one day when I was working at my old job, somebody got my attention in a big way. And I don't think I've ever told them that. They looked at me one day and said, hey, I want what you have. And I'm thinking to myself, do you know what that is? But when I had to really look back on it, I didn't even know what I had. So I'm glad that I've been able to live long enough and we stayed together so I can actually understand what it is I have. So yeah, when I give a salute to her, a shout out to her, it's for sticking with me through all the stuff we've gone through. So yeah, I love you, babe.
You know what? It takes a real man to get up there and say that. But yeah, the whole Brady Bunch being gay.
Come on, man. You always go back and grab stuff.
I do. I needed to do that for you because you know what? I'm gonna have a hard time letting live that one down. So I'm gonna reiterate that. That's fine. That is fine. That is fine. That is fine.
He is. He's available if you're asking.
That is fine. I am talking about the context in which they came up in this conversation.
Okay.
Fighter Share Nation, we appreciate y'all for riding with us tonight. This guy is insane. Listen, the Beatdown every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We on tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the Fighter Share, and we will be on Sunday at 7 p.m. for the Fighter Share, and every Sunday and Wednesday after that at 7 p.m. for the Fighter Share. So y'all tap in with us, man. We appreciate the love for everybody that got on the live chat. Thank you so much, and we'll see y'all tomorrow at 7 p.m. for the Beatdown. Fighter Share Nation. We are out of here.